Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jeff the Ginger Bearded Biker, and today we are going to be doing an oil change on my 2020 Road King.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough, you wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this.
For those of you that are new, I'm Jeff the Ginger Bearded Biker. I do moto vlogs, I do maintenance videos. I'm also a Harley Davidson and BMW motorcycle technician. Today, I'm going to show you all a more in-depth on how to change the engine, transmission, and primary oil in my 2020 Harley Davidson Road King. I'm going to show you all a little bit on the tools that I use, the tips and tricks that I have for just changing the oil in general, to maybe help any of y'all that are trying to, save some money and do these maintenances on your own. So before we get started, I'm going to go over the tools that I use and all the parts and fluids that you're going to need for the oil change. All right, so let's take a little bit closer look at everything I like to use on an oil change. First up, gloves. When you get the road grime on your hands, the grease, everything, it is difficult to get your hands 100% clean again. Yes, they make pumice soap. In fact, I got a gallon of pumice soap in there that I use to wash my hands, but it's still very difficult to get them clean. I got my open-end wrench here, my ratchet, and my socket, all of which are 5/8, which is the size of the drain plug. I also have an extension that I like to keep around. I have this Allen key, Allen wrench, whatever you want to call it. This is also 5/8. This is what's going to get the top screw off of the transmission for when you're going to fill it up. I like to keep a couple of oil wrenches on hand as well. This is a typical one for a socket. This one's made for Harley. It's got this little cutout here to get around the position sensor. So I recommend that. They don't always work. Sometimes they slip, sometimes they don't, which is why I also have this set of oil filter wrench. The other things you're gonna need some type of funnel. This will get the oil into the different oil compartments. Now with the primary, of course, you're gonna be putting oil through the primary cover. For that, I have this type of funnel. Now, this one I know works well on the twin cam, but I believe this is too small for the Milwaukee 8. I do believe Harley makes them for the Milwaukee 8, so I'm probably not going to use this one. If you don't want to go out and buy the one from Harley, the other thing I have done is on this funnel, I cut a little slit on the end so that it will kind of taper in, so I can shove it in between the primary cover and the clutch. The other thing you're going to need is, if you're doing all three oils, you're going to need a gasket kit. Now this is the O-ring for the derby cover, and these are the O-rings for each one of the drain plugs. Moving on over here, I got a rag on standby for any excess oil. I have my scissor jack. One thing I have found when draining the oil, it's a lot easier to drain the oil when the bike is level as opposed to on the kickstand. And then the last thing I have here is Harley Davidson Sin 3. Another oil brand that I personally like is Motul, but Motul is a lot more expensive right now. The other thing that you're going to need, Torx, which should be a T27 for the fasteners on the derby cover. I forgot to set that out. I'm grabbing it right now. Then one more thing that I suggest that you gather before you start your oil change is get a service manual, or contact Harley Davidson, or even J&P Cycles. You can call in to talk to one of their techs to give you the torque specs. Now, I know you didn't see an oil filter in my pile of tools and supplies. That is because I'm still a firm believer that you only need to change your oil filter every other oil change. So the next step will be, I'm going to take the Road King out on a ride to get it up to operating temperature. So I believe it should only take about 20 minutes to really warm this up. So we're just gonna go down to downtown Sanford and back. And when we get back, we will start the oil change. Got her all warmed up. Now I'm gonna set my balls off. I got the fan going. I hope that helps. It's a little bit cooler, but not by much. So my next step is to get the jack up this beast here and get her level. The primary is kind of tilted towards the front on the Milwaukee 8, so it's not a bad idea to jack up the front a little bit just to get it to where the oil is pouring out the back. So if you see here, I got the jack underneath there now, and all it's doing is just sitting it upright. The front tire is still on the ground, so is the rear tire. It's just keeping it upright for me. Makes it a little bit easier to flow the oil. Now, when you are getting your oil pan, if you get one like I have here from Harley, I love this because it's so low profile, it fits underneath the bike. Check this out. So right here is the oil plug for the primary. Then when you get up underneath here, let's see, this is the oil plug for the oil, and this is the transmission, or vice versa. I don't remember exactly which one's which. All I know is that these are drain plugs. Got the transmission flowing, I got the engine oil flowing. Now we're gonna have the primary. Uh-oh. And that's what the difficulties are of trying to film what you're doing. This is for the transmission. Remember, just like the bolts are 3/8, or yeah, 3/8. Oh wait, this is a 3/8. The bolts, the drain plugs are 5/8. Oh, lost my tool in the oil. So we're just gonna move over here. This is for the engine oil. This has also got the dipstick in it. So we're just gonna loosen that up, leave that sitting there. Then I'm gonna come back and loosen this up. This also has the dipstick for the transmission. So leave that there. So we're gonna move on to the derby cover. Sometimes you need to take this passenger board off. That's what I've always had to do with other bikes. That's only if you don't have clearance, and I have clearance. There we go. So there you have it. There's the O-ring. So all we're gonna do, also might be nice if you have a pick set. These are cheap at Harbor Freight. But that black O-ring there, I'm gonna pull it out, put a new one on, put the plug back in the primary, and I'm going to replace the primary fluid first. Now, a rule of thumb is you pour it until the oil touches the bottom of the spring, which is in there, or the bottom of the clutch plate. Then you have enough in there. It's, over the years, I have measured it out. When I was working at the shop, I measured it out, and it comes out to being right around a quart. So if you just put a quart in there, you'll be good. Same thing with the transmission. Every year, transmission says 28 ounces, but I've never had a problem putting a full 32 because it's only 4 extra ounces, which is not much. But transmissions call for 28 ounces. So if you want to be exact, 28 ounces. So I got the oil in the primary. Now I'm putting the screws back into the derby cover, and I wanted to note something. When you're putting fasteners into a cover like this, there will be a torque pattern that will be in the manual. And basically what the torque pattern is, for anybody that doesn't know, it's so that you slowly and evenly distribute tension across the cover so you don't warp it or crack it. All right, so I'm working with tight quarters here because I'm in my garage. It's jam-packed full of stuff. But that right there is the dipstick for the transmission. We're gonna go ahead and do that first. Stick a funnel in there, crack open a quart of oil. So there we go. The Milwaukee 8 is supposed to take 4.5 quarts, not gallons, 4.5 quarts of 20W50. Harley's saying every 5,000 miles. Now, any of you all new to motorcycles or doing your own vehicle maintenance, used motor oil, when it sits, it becomes acidic. So it will actually eat away at your parts inside your engine. So good rule of thumb is even if you only put a few miles on it, but it's past like 3 or 4 months, I think it's 6 months now that they recommend, somewhere in between 3 to 6 months. Just change your oil. The oil in it is not good for the parts. Also, if you're in one of those places where you put your bike up for the winter because you can't ride during the winter, change your oils before you put it up. That'll help with the longevity of your motorcycle. Cool thing about these touring models is the dipsticks are designed to where you can have it on the kickstand. I believe Harley still calls the kickstand a jiffy stand. I think the, yep, it says it right here. It says on jiffy stand. So that is actually the technical name for it. I don't remember who named it, but that's been the technical name for it since the beginning. So you can actually check it on the jiffy stand or while it's upright. And you got two levels you can read. But it's got to be hot, so you have to warm it up. I'm going to put the cap back on, and then the only thing left to do is to start it up, let the oil cycle. It's not a bad idea to go take it for another test ride, let it warm up and get the operating temperature so it flows all the way through. Now, if we were doing a oil filter replacement, I always prime the oil filters. Excuse the messy kitchen in the back. I have a messy house. So just to recap, the basic tools that you're going to need to do the change is a 5/8 open-ended wrench or socket with ratchet. You're going to need a T27 Torx, and you're also going to need a 3/8 Allen key or Allen wrench, whatever you call it. Parts from the Harley that you're going to need. You're going to need the O-rings for the plugs. You're going to need the O-ring for the derby cover, and this was a total of 7 quarts of Syn 3, 1 quart in the primary, 1 quart in the transmission, and 4.5 in the actual engine. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, definitely leave them below. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please don't forget to share, subscribe, and comment, and hit that notification bell so you are notified when the next time I upload a video. And until the next video, hope you all are good, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate